California. And I now recognize the gentlelady from Texas.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and many thanks to our panel. I represent El Paso, Texas. I'm the only member of this committee who lives on the U.S.-Mexico border. And in fact, it's been my community that has had the highest numbers of apprehensions and encounters, and we probably will again this year. This hearing is a very brazen effort to provide political cover to my governor, Governor Greg Abbott, who has unconstitutionally used state resources in order to try to impose the state's own immigration policies and laws. The current amount being used by the state is $11 billion. $11 billion of state taxpayer money. And I think we can all agree, because a witness said earlier, Texas has the highest number of encounters. That's true. El Paso, the highest number of encounters. Obviously, what Greg Abbott is doing is an absolute failure. And there's nothing about what Greg Abbott is doing that is about trying to improve the situation, trying to solve a great challenge. It's all about political posturing, which is what this subcommittee has become about, which is what this committee has become about, and it's unfortunately about what this Congress has become about. And it's really tragic, because our nation deserves bipartisan solutions that make sense and that help our country. Instead, what we're doing here today is advancing a crackpot legal argument that is itself based on a racist conspiracy theory. And that theory, the argument, is rooted in the repeated cries of an invasion, which is a dog whistle for the Great Replacement theory. The Great Replacement theory actually was a motivator for a white supremacist who drove to my community and slaughtered 23 people and injured dozens more. So there's deadly consequences to this kind of hate speech. Why else would the majority invite a witness whose organization is linked to a right-wing anti-immigration organization founded by a white nationalist, if not to promote these theories? Mr. Jadwat, I'd like to ask you, are you familiar with the Great Replacement conspiracy theory?
Yes.
How does the argument that there is an actual invasion at the southern border feed into this racist conspiracy theory?
So I think it dehumanizes people by treating them not as people, but as invaders. And as I discussed before, it paints them as violent, when I think everybody here would agree that the vast majority of people who come to the border are not. And it authorizes violence against them. And that is the truly dangerous piece of this language. And again, the contention here is this is not a rhetorical point. This is not a metaphor that they're using. They're saying, as a matter of law, that we are authorized to use the tools of war in responding to what we have termed an invasion. And you know, I think you heard, you know, this comparison to, you know, defending your home against an invasion, and how you wouldn't look at the Constitution or the statute books before you took matters into your own hands and responded with violence. And that is not the way that we can or should be responding to what's happening on our border. As you know, as somebody from a border community, the sort of chaos and violence that would be unleashed if that were the rule would be profoundly, profoundly destructive.
And I'll close by saying it already has been. And the survivors of the August 3rd, 2019 massacre in El Paso, Texas, can testify to just how destructive and dangerous that kind of language is. I yield back.
I thank the gentlelady from Texas and now recognize the gentlelady from Wyoming.